Well, hello there everybody. I'm Elizabeth Hines from the Autoimmune Free Cooking Club and Total Wellness Health Coaching. Welcome to my kitchen. I have out my Instant Pot, yet it smells like cinnamon in here. And that's because we're making dessert in the Instant Pot today. I think you're really gonna love this recipe. Welcome back everyone. I am so excited to share this recipe with you. I first started making this recipe close to 2 years ago, and I have just been tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it and trying to get it exactly right because it's perfect for the Instant Pot, but the Instant Pot can be a little persnickety, and so it's taken a little bit of effort to get it just right. But now that I have it just right, I can't wait to share it with you. So today we're going to make sticky toffee pudding. Do you know what sticky toffee pudding is? It is, if you don't, you're going to know and you're going to want to make it. It is this dense, moist cake that is made with dates, and it is actually traditionally a gluten-free cake most of the time. I'll say most recipes you find will be naturally gluten-free because it is traditionally made with almond flour, usually in combination with some other flours like oat flour or just all sorts of different things, honestly. But I've of course made mine completely gluten-free and actually completely grain-free with the combination of flours I'm going to use today. You see I have a very special pan here. This is a 6-inch springform pan that will fit in my 6-quart Instant Pot, and it comes with these extra pieces, okay? So springform, the bottom comes loose, but this one is what I needed to make this particular recipe because it's such a dense cake that I was having trouble getting it done in the middle, which, you know what, it bakes under pressure in the Instant Pot for a long time, 35 to 40 minutes. And so if it's a little bit gooey in the center, you know, we ate it. We ate many of these sticky toffee puddings as I was developing the recipe that were a little bit, a teeny bit gooey in the center, and nobody complained. But it wasn't perfect, and I really wanted it to be perfect. So I found this little springform pan with a little insert that will help it cook all the way through. It's more like a bundt style. So you saw what I did there. I just took a little bit of almond flour and I buttered and floured my pan. And in this bowl, I'm going to use my hands because this is all of my dry ingredients, and one of them is maple sugar. Maple sugar tends to get kind of clumpy, so I could have gotten out my sifter, but I don't like to wash my sifter. It's kind of a pain. I don't mind washing my hands, and I wash them all the time. So my hands are very clean, and this way I'll just run my fingers through. I'll break up all those clumps of maple sugar, and in the process it will mix my dry ingredients. Okay, so this is what we're doing. This recipe could be super complicated or it could be super simple. It's kind of your choice. Like I told you, it's a cake that is made with dates. So what I have behind me there are some pitted medjool dates they're dried, but mine are fresh, so they're pretty soft. I just boiled some water, and I poured the water over my dates, and they've been sitting there as I got everything out. And I measured my dry ingredients, so they've just been soaking. I'm going to run them through my food processor to blend them up, hopefully pretty finely, into kind of a paste. and that's going to mix in with my other wet ingredients, and here I have all my dry ingredients. Well, I just boiled some water on my stove and then poured it over my dates. You could put your dates in your water in the bottom of your Instant Pot, turn on saute, and let them kind of simmer away in there for a few minutes while you're getting everything out. So it's kind of your choice. You can do everything in your Instant Pot, and there is a delicious caramel sauce that goes with this cake. That'll be a separate video. You can also make it in your Instant Pot, or you can just make it on the stove, kind of whatever's easiest for you. You can do it your way. So I've done my dates just separately, because that way I can get my Instant Pot all ready. So I have in my pot the stainless steel insert. I have the rack in there that came with my pot. Your rack might look a little bit different than mine. As they've remodeled the Instant Pot, the little racks or trivet, you can call it different things. They have changed the shape and design of those, but it's the same function. So you're going to want to put your rack in there. And this is just about perfect. And then I have 2 cups of water in the bottom. Okay, in this bowl, my dry ingredients are almond flour, arrowroot, coconut flour, baking powder, baking soda, allspice, cinnamon, ginger, cloves, sea salt, maple sugar, coconut sugar, and then I have some eggs and butter. And I'm going to mix up. It's a lot of ingredients, but I promise this dessert is amazing. So I first learned of sticky toffee pudding when I was on a girls' weekend at the coast many years ago. In fact, it was my 40th birthday, so it was 7 years ago. Am I 47? No, I'm 46. It was 6 years ago. How old am I? But that was like a lifetime ago, especially when you have children. 6 years. That's like from having babies to adults, basically. And that's how it feels. Anywho, we went out to dinner at this restaurant. A friend of mine, we were staying at her family's house, so she had been to this town a lot. She knew the good places to go. We made reservations at this restaurant. And as soon as we sat down, she says to the waitress, "I want a sticky toffee pudding." And I'm thinking, well, that is an interesting appetizer. But she told us it's so good, and it is like this special dessert, and they don't have it all the time. Maybe they only had it on Saturday nights or something. And they sell out quickly. So she's like, as soon as she sat down, "I want sticky toffee pudding." She tried to actually order it when she made the reservation, and they wouldn't let her. But I'd never heard of it, and it came, and I was kind of new in my gluten-free journey at that time, but their version was not gluten-free, and so I did not try it. But I was intrigued by it because it looked and smelled amazing. It's like a caramely spice cake with this caramel sauce, which is right up my alley. I would take that over chocolate any day. I do like chocolate, but I would rather have this than a chocolate cake. My husband gets the chocolate cake. Anyway, so that's when I first heard of sticky toffee pudding, and I can't remember where I started to go with that story, but anyway, I hope you love it as much as my family loves it. Let me wash my hands. All right, I'm gonna blend up my dates and water back here in my mini food processor because mine is cracked. It has a crack all the way down the side, and it can make a big mess. I just don't want to have to deal with that when I'm doing my video. So I'm going to do it back here, but I'll show you what it looks like after I've blended it up. Whoa, did you see the water squirt out? Hopefully you've taken my advice and you have purchased one of these mini food processors for yourself, and hopefully you have not dropped yours on the ground 100 times like I have mine and cracked it. Although I do believe that they don't make things like they used to, as my grandparents used to say, because I had one of these for many, many, many years and didn't have any problems. And this guy, relatively new, didn't hold up super well. Okay, so that is 2 large eggs, 5 ounces of dates with 3/4 of a cup of water, and 8 tablespoons of butter. So mine is not paleo because I'm using butter, but it is grain-free. And it would be paleo if I used ghee or palm shortening. You could also use coconut oil, but I would not recommend coconut oil in this cake. That's just my preference. But grass-fed butter, some people who do not tolerate dairy will tolerate grass-fed butter. So that's something to introduce at some point in your life if you're feeling healthy. Oh, I think I know where I was going with my story about the pudding. This isn't really related to how I learned about it, but because it's this like warm, spicy with cinnamon and cloves, it's perfect for fall and winter. It would be perfect for Thanksgiving. And I can tell you from experience, because as I said, we've made this quite a few times, trying to get it just right. And it lasts in the refrigerator really well for a long time. So you could have this for your Thanksgiving dessert and make it way ahead of time and make your life really easy. Or Christmas would be perfect for either one. Okay, so I'm just pouring my liquid into my dry, and I could just totally mix it by hand. It's not hard to mix by hand, but since my mixer's out, I'm just going to use it. So I'm just going slow at first. It smells so good. It's taking all my self-control to not just dig in and eat all the batter. But I'm not going to do it because I want to show you this amazing cake. I'm going to use my rubber spatula. Make sure, do you see that dry that just kind of came up from the bottom? It's such a thick batter that you really do have to be careful. Make sure you get everything mixed well. It's a pain when you start to put it in your pan and then you realize, oh, it's not mixed well. So just carefully pour this in. It'd be nice to have an assistant turn my pan for me, but I don't have one. So I'll do it myself and just complain about it a little bit. It seems like a lot of batter in a really little pan, but it fits. And I'll tell you what, this cake is super rich, and then you put the caramel sauce on top, and you just need a teeny little piece. So even if you're hosting a big crowd for Thanksgiving, this cake will work because it will really feed a crowd. All right, let me wash my hands so I can put it in my pot. Alrighty, so just a little bit of insurance right here. I just put a piece of foil underneath. If my pan is going to leak, it's going to leak, but this foil will help catch the leaks and make it easier for me to clean up. So I have my 2 cups of water in there. Here's my trivet. So it has the little feet on the bottom. Make sure you put it with the feet down. And it sits nice and flat down in there. It's still a little bit difficult to get it out, I'll be honest. But I'll show you how I do that when everything's hot. Here's my little rubber gasket. Put that right in there. My pot is plugged in. Okay, so I move that little valve to sealing instead of venting. I want manual, high pressure, and I want 40 minutes. Which is a long time to wait, but we can do it. We have patience, right? All right, there we go. It's not going to take too long to come up to pressure because there's not a lot of water in there. So I'll see you back here in about 45-50 minutes. Okay, moment of truth. So our cooking time is over, 40 minutes. It took just a few minutes to come up to pressure, and I let it go for just a couple minutes because I wasn't standing right here, and then I quick released the rest of the pressure. So you do want to kind of quickly and carefully move your lid out of the way because you don't want all that condensation to fall down on your cake. Overhead cameraman, can you see what that looks like? I just want everybody to see what to expect. I know it's like, oh, this seems like a lot of batter and it's a small pan. Is it going to overflow? Well, I mean, depending on your altitude, honestly, different things might happen, but I've not had a problem with that. With this particular pan, the amounts that I have given you work perfectly. Okay, so I told you it was a little bit tricky to get it out when the pan is hot. once your pot's been under pressure, you know this stainless steel insert is hot. So I just carefully use some pot holders. My trivet has these little indentions. I can kind of grab a hold and just pull it out. I have seen recipes that talked about creating sort of a sling out of like a cooking twine, the kind that will tolerate heat, and which of course this is wet, so it will be fine, but and crisscrossing it so you have this little package where your string would kind of sit right here where you would tie it together and then you'd be able to lift it out. But I haven't had any trouble using the arms of the trivet. I don't know what you would call those handles. It looks great, doesn't it? It smells great. Our pan didn't leak, which is awesome. I'll link to this pan. I bought it on Amazon. Now before you release your springform, this is a springform pan. It'll have this little handle to release. I mean, I would let it cool for a few minutes. Run a thin knife or spatula. This is like a cake decorating spatula. It's very, very thin. This is Gluten brand. I can try to link to this as well. I bought it at a craft store in person many, many years ago, but I think you can buy anything online these days, so I'll try to link that for you. So just kind of run that around, make sure it's not going to stick. And then release this and it sort of pops open. Now, you can invert this one because it had that pretty fluting on the bottom, which is what I'm going to do, but I am going to be patient and let it cool for just a couple minutes because I don't want it to fall apart. It's way too hot, and it's not super fragile, but it is a pudding, so it's a more wet texture, and it will be, our results will probably be better if I'm patient and let it cool for a few minutes. So we'll do that, and I'll show you how it turns out in just a minute. Okay, I think it's going to come off just fine. It typically does. It loosened from around the edges so nicely. I think it's going to be okay. So I usually don't do it directly on a plate. I usually use a cooling rack, but we'll do this. So I just put that on top, flip it. Voila! Get it in the center. See how pretty that is? That little piece fell off. We have to cut it open and try, don't we? I just happen to have a plate right here and a cup of coffee. I think I should have a piece, don't you think? This guy will work just fine as a knife. Now, seriously, this is a big enough piece. It's super, super rich. Here's my caramel sauce. I mean, look at that. So the caramel sauce recipe is a separate video. Watch it. It's short. Make this caramel sauce. Whether you're going to make the sticky toffee pudding or not, you should make the caramel sauce. Drizzle it over the top. Drizzle a little bit more over the top because you're going to want to. Hot. It's so good. It's so good. If you want to use your Instant Pot for something besides your roast or your stews, get yourself one of these little 6-inch springform pans. You don't have to have the one with the fancy bunt pan insert like mine. Just know that if you don't have this, it will likely just be a teeny bit gooey in the center. It's just, it's not getting done. You really need to have this, that hole in the center for it to cook more evenly. but it will be fine if you just have the regular springform pan. So I hope you enjoyed this. A little bit of a different recipe for our Instant Pot. It's good for more than just making broth and roast. This is an awesome dessert. If you don't have an Instant Pot and you just found this video because you were looking for a recipe for a gluten-free sticky toffee pudding, you can bake this in the oven. It works perfectly well. And I have instructions for that on my website. So I'll link to everything that you need down below. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you're new here, please leave a comment, introduce yourself. I would love to get to know you. This is a very nice, helpful, welcoming, positive community. We are here to help each other and show everybody that we know, people that we cook for, whether it's our family, just our spouse, lots of friends and neighbors, that good food can be good for you and still really taste great. So like, share, subscribe, help spread that message. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping by, and I will see you next time.